Hi, I'm Rick Bleiweiss, and I'm here today with the legendary, and I truly mean that, Tommy James. In my opinion, one of the greatest writers, songwriters, and recording artists in rock and roll, to me. I mean, some of his singles are among my absolute favorites, and we'll get to that later. But for
Well, thank you.
you're
What can I
welcome.
say to that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, let me continue a little. So, Tommy James, for any of you who may either be really young or really old and forgetting, let me just give you a little recap here. Tommy and his band, the Shondells, had 17 singles in the top 40 in Billboard, five in the top five, 32 Billboard hits. Tommy was inducted into the Michigan Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and he's written a memoir that was a big selling book. And we'll talk about this later. There's also a play about him and his life. But Tommy's hits include Crimson and Clover, I Think We're Alone Now, Mooney Mooney, Hanky Panky, Getting Together, Sugar on Sunday, Crystal Blue Persuasion, Dragging the Line, Sweet Cherry Wine, and as a writer and producer, he did Tighter and Tighter for Alive and Kickin'. And we'll get into all that, but oh my God, what a discography, if you will. So, Tommy, where'd you grow up and what were you like as a kid?
Well, I grew up in a little town in Michigan called Niles, and I started playing in a local group when I was about 13 years old. And if you really want to go back, I got a ukulele when I was 4 years
All
old,
right.
and I started singing and playing the uke. And then when I was 9, I got my first guitar after I saw Elvis on the Ed Sullivan Show. So the ukulele went out the window, and I started playing guitar. And then I was 9 years old then, and a year later, when I was 10, I got my first electric guitar. And I learned everything I could learn on the radio and bought records and learned them too. And all I really ever wanted to do was play music. And when I was 12 years old, I started my first band, and we started playing for money when I was 13.
All right.
And I've been doing it ever since. I mean, that's the true story. I grew up and graduated from Niles, Michigan High School, and had a job in a record shop along with playing in the band. And so I got to promote my group out of the record shop, and that was a big thrill. I learned the record business at a retail level all through high school, and it was a college education for me.
Yeah.
And when I was 18, I graduated from high school, and I took my band. Well, I guess I left out the little fact that I had two little label deals while I was in high
Oh,
school.
wow.
And the second one was when I was 16, and that's where I recorded my first hit record, Hanky Panky, in a
Wow.
radio studio. And the record came out locally and was half a hit locally, but we had no distribution, so it came and went. And when I was 18, I graduated, took my band on the road, and we played clubs in the Midwest. And in early 66, I'm playing this dumpy little club in Janesville, Wisconsin. And right in the middle of my 2 weeks, the IRS shuts the guy down for not paying his taxes. And and we get let go, of course, and sent back home. And but that's how the good Lord works, because as soon as I got back home to Niles, I got the call that changed my life.
And that was,
Um,
what was that?
that was a distributor in Pittsburgh, and a disc jockey tracked me down and through the record shop got my number, and I just happened to be home at that moment, which was a miracle that I happened to be home at that very moment. And they informed me that this record, Hanky Panky, that I had recorded a couple of years before, was sitting at number one, but
Wow.
only in the city of Pittsburgh. Only in America
Yeah,
could
right.
that, right? So they told me the story. It's a crazy story of how Hanky Panky became a hit locally there, and it turned out to be the biggest record that Pittsburgh had had up to that point. And this is 66. That, by the way, this is about March of 66. And they asked me to come to Pittsburgh and do some TV and some radio shows and play. So I did. I went to Pittsburgh, and sure enough, outside the city limits, I'm nobody. But as soon as I got into the city, I'm a rock star. You know what I'm saying?
That's great.
I got a manager from Pittsburgh, my first manager, and I couldn't put the original group back together, so I got a group from Pittsburgh to be the new Shondells.
Huh.
And a week later, we're in New York selling the master of Hanky Panky to and we got a yes from everybody because it was a regional breakout in the trade papers out of
Sure.
Pittsburgh. And so everybody wanted the record. See, I got a yes from CBS, from RCA, Atlantic, remember 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐭 Records. So I was just feeling great. The last place we took the record to was Roulette.
Okay.
And I'm sorry to get so long-winded, but
No,
I
no,
wanted to
go.
tell you how we ended up at
Yeah.
Roulette.
No, go ahead.
And so I went to bed that night thinking we're going to be with one of the big corporate labels, and I'm feeling great. And about 10 o'clock the next day, we started getting calls from all the record companies that had said yes the day before. And all of a sudden, every one of them is saying, "Listen, Tom, I'm sorry, we gotta pass." I
Wow.
said, "What do you mean we got to pass? I thought we had a deal." And finally, Jerry Wexler up at Atlantic
Right.
told me the truth that Morris Levy, the head of Roulette Records, called all of them up and scared the hell out of them. He said, "This is my freaking record. Back off." And he talked just like
Morris.
that
Yeah.
too,
Oh,
right out
yeah.
of the movies. And so we apparently were gonna. It was the first offer I couldn't refuse. We were apparently gonna be on Roulette Records, like it or not. And so I went up and I met Morris, and wow. I mean, right out of central casting. I mean, and he talked like this too. That was his real voice.
Yeah.
And I think they all go to school to learn how to talk like that. I don't know. But so anyway, he was a big guy, and his shaking his hand was like grabbing a catcher's mitt. You know what I'm saying? He was a big guy.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's how we ended up on Roulette. And sure enough, Roulette Records, though, took it to number one all over the world. And we ended up having 23 gold singles on Roulette
Yeah. Wow.
and sold about 110 million records worldwide. So, God bless the crooks.
I just sort of like to pause here for a second. And for anybody, anybody that's watching this who doesn't know about Morris Levy, Morris, I guess, and I'm Jewish, so I'm willing to say this. Morris was kind of part of the Jewish mafia, if you will. And I think he was in some way associated with 𝐦𝐿𝐵𝐼 crime families. So what Tommy's saying about Morris rings, it is who Morris was, no question.
Well, I've often said that what a crazy and tumultuous and insane and sometimes scary relationship Morris and I had. And the reason it was scary and tumultuous is because unbeknownst to us, when we signed with Roulette, in addition to being a functioning label,
Right.
record company, and had a bunch of hits,
Yeah.
but they also were a front for the 𝐦𝐿𝐵𝐼 crime family in New York. And of course, that made life really interesting for us. While we were Mony Mooney and Hanky Panky, and we had this very dark and sinister story going on behind us that we couldn't talk about.
Yeah, oh, I believe it. So I want to go back and ask you a few things that go back a couple of years, and then we'll go forward. The
Sure.
first one was Didn't you do modeling at an early age?
Yeah, I was 4.
And how did that come about? What was that?
Well, this is one of those, stories my mother loved, but what it boiled down to was I was taking piano lessons at a conservatory.
Okay.
And we were doing a little recital one day of, we were all cute kids doing a piano recital. And one of the parents who was there watching us was worked for Life magazine.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Okay.
and we I was asked if I would do some modeling. He liked me, liked my look, and if we would do some modeling of a family in having raincoats and boots on and stuff like that for the magazine. And so I did it, and I basically uh, had a very short modeling career, with a cowboy boots and a 6 gun and stuff like that. And I guess I was a cute kid, but that was the first time I was in front of people. So
Well, that was cool.
something clicked up here. You know what I'm saying?
So now you changed your name to be a stage name. So what was the impetus from going from Jackson to James?
Well, when I got to Roulette and talked with Morris and everybody there, um, they asked me all right, they said, we want to make out a contract. We also want to put your name on a label. We'd like to put your name first above the Shondells.
Right.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. All right. Well, that'd be good.
Yeah.
And they say, so what do you want to be? Tommy Jones, Tommy Jackson, I thought about it and I wanted to keep my last initial.
Okay.
And so the first name I came up with was James. I literally in 10 seconds.
Wow.
So they said, so that's what it's going to be, Tommy James and the Shondells. I said, yeah, I guess so. I guess that's going to be it. And in that much time,
Wow.
I changed my identity and my name and
There you go.
everything about myself. Yes.
And what about the Shondells? Where did that name come from?
That was just a name I made up in study hall.
Really?
Yeah. I just, we were originally, when I was really young, 13 and 14, we called ourselves the Tornadoes.
Oh, okay.
And we actually had a record deal as the Tornadoes when I was 14. And as a result of working in the record shop. But when I was 16, we were asked by the local DJ, Jack Douglas, who started a little label called Snap Records,
Sure.
if we would come and record for him. And that's where we did Hanky Panky. And I just thought we had outgrown the Tornadoes. So I picked the Shondells. Anything with an ELLS on the end was a possibility because it sounded music, the Hondells, the Crondells,
Even the
and
Shirelles.
so, yeah, right. So I came up with the name Shondells, and
Oh, cool.
we've had it ever since.
Now, Hanky Panky, I think that's one of the very few songs you had a hit with that you didn't personally write, correct?
Well, I mean, actually, there was a couple of them,
Oh,
several of them.
oh, I didn't realize
I
that. I
didn't
thought you
write,
wrote
I
most
think
of
we're
them.
alone now either.
Oh, I
That
didn't
was
know that.
no. And but Jeff Barry and Ellie Greenwich wrote Hanky Panky.
So how'd
And
you find it? How did that
I
come
was
to
out at a club on a Sunday afternoon where they used to have teen dances.
Okay.
And the place was called Shula's, and it was in Niles, Michigan. And on Sunday, I would go there, and because I was friendly with all the other groups in town, so and there were several of them, and so there was a group called the Spinners,
Sure.
and they were playing. Excuse me, they were playing that Sunday afternoon. And they played this song, My Baby Does the Hanky Panky, and the reaction from the crowd was unbelievable. And they had never heard the thing before. It's just immediately put kids on the dance floor. And I said, wow. I said, I was with a musician friend of mine. Did you see that? And they played it about 6 times. They kept playing it, getting requests for it. And every time they did, the crowd hit the dance floor fast. And I said, you know what? We got to do that. I don't know what the hell that is, but we got to do it. And we should record that. And so then our first recording session, we went in and recorded this hanky panky. All I could remember is My Baby Does the Hanky Panky. I couldn't remember all the other words, and we made up. I saw her walking down the line and all that
Oh,
stuff,
really?
and we just made that up as we went along. And but just singing "My Baby Does a Hanky Panky" was all it took, and because the song started off with "My Baby Does a Hanky Panky," it just that's when the kids hit the dance floor, and we played it before it was out, and every time we did, we got the same reaction the Spinners got, and so we really believed in this record, and it came out, and it was a small hit in a small town,
Right.
and that was fun, but. I can't believe the damn thing is still selling, and here I am 63 years later, still playing hanky panky, and they're still screaming for it.
Oh, that's great, isn't
I
it?
can't believe it. It's unbelievable. And this is our 60th year, by the way.
Wow.
1966 is when the record came out.
Yeah, wow. It's funny. I was in bands too. I was on the road 15 years. I didn't quite,
Really? What'd you play?
I was a bass player. I started guitar and became an
Ah,
electric bass player. Um,
wow. We
and
should start a band.
we should call it the Shondells. I don't know. But it's funny because one of the reasons that I left playing music, rock and roll on the road, was because I couldn't imagine that somebody'd be in their 50s or 60s and still playing rock and roll.
I know. I know. Well, I just had my 79th birthday yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday. It's my wife's birthday
Thank you.
too.
Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
29th?
You're
Is that
29.
right?
Yeah.
So is Jerry Seinfeld, and Willie Nelson,
Yeah.
and some other people. Wild. Well, anyway, the point is that if you had our connection is a little unstable. There we go. I can't believe that I'm still not only playing rock and roll, and I must tell you that I really thank the good Lord and the fans for the kind of longevity we've had, because we're working all over North America, and the records are still selling, and my masters now, the Roulette stuff, is all with Warner Brothers now,
Well, that's good.
and the publishing is all with Sony,
Oh,
and
cool.
so they're doing great for me.
Yeah.
And all I can say is that I'm very blessed and privileged to be doing it this long. Thank God.
Yes. So, all right. I hope I don't embarrass you too much, but I'm a huge Beatles fan. Oh,
Oh, me too.
okay. Well, I've got to tell you that two of your songs, to me, I love as much as any Beatles song that I ever heard.
Oh,
It's
bless
me.
your heart.
No, no. And they're Crimson and Clover and Mony Mooney. You know how
Oh, thank
songs
you.
sometimes move your body and they just
Sure.
present. Well, those two did. Not that your others didn't, but those two absolutely.
Thank
So
you.
let's talk about Crimson and Clover
By
first.
the way, I wanted to tell you something about the Beatles.
Yes.
Sony, about a year ago, purchased the entire Beatle catalog,
Okay.
everything,
The publishing.
the publishing.
Right.
And they also purchased the entire Motown catalog.
I didn't know that.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And they asked me if I would consider doing a couple songs from each catalog for movies.
Oh, wow.
They
Cool.
have the greatest movie department you've
Yeah.
ever seen, and they've brought me nearly 300 first-rate movies, big movies, since I've been with them.
Wow.
And so the first two Beatles songs that I recorded is "You've Got to Hide Your Love Away"
Right.
and "Here, There, and Everywhere."
Oh, cool.
And you got to be very careful about doing Beatle covers because you can make a lot of enemies real fast if you don't do them right.
You're
You
right.
know what I'm saying? So anyway, they're going to be. And the first Motown song that I did was the Supreme's first hit, "Where Did Our Love Go?" So I'm
Okay.
gonna I'm gonna do another one. But both of those catalogs are terribly difficult to do covers on because they were done so well.
I know.
And the records are so iconic, especially the Beatles, that you got to watch it. You got to do something really different. So you got to hide your love away. For example, John recorded it like a
Yeah.
demo.
Yes.
It was just him and his acoustic guitar. So we made it very gospely,
Oh, really?
churchy. Yeah,
Oh,
I always heard that the beautiful chords in there and the words as almost religious. It had a gospel kind of connotation to it. And so we did it with a choir, and it really came out well. And so
so
we'll get
where can people hear it?
it's on YouTube right now.
Oh, okay.
I haven't put the second one up yet, but I put the first one up,
Oh,
and we've gotten marvelous reaction to it. So anyway, I'm sorry I interrupted you,
no,
but we were.
no, it's okay. Little anecdote from my life, if you don't mind. After I stopped playing in bands, I started producing records, and
Oh,
one of the records I produced, and I produced a lot of records, especially in the disco era, and
right.
one of the records I produced was a disco remake of "Drive My Car," which
Oh,
which actually went top five on the disco and R&B
baby, you
charts.
can drive
Yeah.
my car.
But like you said, I had a lot of people that said, "How could you make that into a disco song? That's
Right, I know
sacrilege."
it. That's
Right?
sacrilege. I know. So you must be careful
Yeah,
because you'll start getting hate mail.
yeah, exactly. So Crimson and Clover, how did that come to you? And I guess I know you like the words crimson and you like the word clover and you put them together, but how did this whole thing happen? It's a great record.
Well, thank you. Well, you're right. It just came to me as I was waking up one day, sort of in that in-between state,
Yeah.
and the crimson and clover were just two of my favorite words, but they sounded so good together. And I honestly, are you a writer as well? Do you write?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, then you know what that feels like. The words just sounded good together. So much of writing songs is you're always on the make for titles,
Yes.
and a title will often tell you what the song wants to be.
Yeah.
So Crimson and Clover, I couldn't figure it out. Is that a ballad? Is it up tempo? What is that? And it just sounded right. It sounded profound, like it ought to mean something.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I don't know. I just start there. Actually, we wrote three versions
Oh,
of
really?
songs called Crimson and Clover, and the last one was the one that worked. And I wrote it with my drummer Pete Lucia, who didn't write that much, but we just sat down, and I just started playing, three chords backwards.
Ah,
That's all it was. It was a three-chord backward chord progression, and I just loved the way that it felt.
yeah.
And the title worked with the melody. And so we went in the studio and we cut the whole record in 5 hours,
Wow.
the entire record. And I played guitar and I played keyboard and I played, several of the instruments. And basically, well, I had tremolo on. Did you ever remember the record Harlem Nocturne by the
Yeah.
Viscounts?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, that's the first time I heard tremolo on a
Ah,
guitar,
okay.
and I always wanted to use it, and I never had. So I used it on Crimson and Clover, and it just worked. And then we got to the, at the end of the song and the fade, and we just, I said, let's try something. And we tried plugging the vocal mic into the guitar amplifier,
Right.
turned on the tremolo, and then mic'd the amp and ran it back into the board.
Yep.
And it worked, and it became the signature sound of not only the single but the whole album,
Yep.
and it just worked, and that was just a lot of good luck. And a lot of just loving what we were working on, but we damn near blew the release of the record.
How?
And yeah, well, we had rough mixed it the night we recorded it on a Thursday night, and Friday I had to be in Chicago to do a gig. So and I did a rough mix, and I mean, it was horrible. I mixed it with my elbows. I mean, I just put up the faders and it was a work tape, nothing more than a work tape. And nobody was supposed to hear it but me. So on our way to the gig, once we got to Chicago, I stopped by WLS in Chicago, which was at that time the biggest AM station in the country.
Yep.
And I went up to see my friend who was program director, John Rook. And I went up and I said, John, I got to ask you something. Tell me what you think of this. I recorded it last night. I played him the rough mix of Crimson and Clover. He goes, that's a smash. That's a killer. He says, and he brings in Larry Lujak. He says, Larry, come on in here. And who is another popular jock at WLS. And he plays Crimson and Clover. What I didn't see is that he also taped my tape. My rough mix, and he plays it. They both love the record. They will get it to us as quick as you can. I get back down into the car and I have the radio on and I hear world exclusive on Channel 89. Oh, he's playing my rough mix. Oh my God. Oh my God, that's terrible. What am I going to do? And he plays it every half hour.
Wow.
He broke the record, only he broke the rough mix. And I get back to Roulette, and Jim Stagg, who was the program director at CFL, the other WCFL, the other 50,000 watt AM station, is so angry because I gave LS the exclusive, right? And he sends a death wreath of flowers back to Roulette with the inscription, it's for the death of Tommy James at WCFL radio. And Morris comes out, he says, what the hell did you do? And I told him the whole story. And he says, oh my God. So Red Schwartz, the promo guy, calls Jim Stagg and tells him that he says, we were going to send it to you, both of you. He said he played Rook the rough mix. And Rook's playing the rough mix. Anyway, I had to release the rough mix. He broke the record.
What?
Suddenly we're on LS and we're going to and there's no record out. And so we had to release. Morris pressed up copies of the rough mix, a 7.5 rough mix.
Yeah.
It wasn't even 15 IPS. It was 7.5. Wow. And so the mix of Crimson and Clover that we all know ended up being the biggest record I ever had.
Wow. So let me ask a question. There were two versions of it because I remember the album version was a longer version with a bigger instrumental.
That's correct. We were in the position that back then everybody loved, the FM stations wanted long mixes.
Right.
And but most people had a long mix and then they edited it down to a short mix for AM. Well, we had to do it the other way. And so we had to somehow make a long version out of this rough mix. And so we went in the studio and we had to get the exact sounds, and we had to basically take the rough mix and loop it and to make the middle of the record,
Right.
tape copies, and create a 5.5 minute version out of a 3 minute version.
Right. Cool.
So, but we did it, and the FM stations all played the. And I must say something else about Crimson and Clover.
Sure.
Crimson and Clover uh, allowed us to make the jump from AM top 40 singles
Okay.
to FM album, progressive album rock. That one single. I can't think of another record we ever made that would have allowed us to do that in one jump. A lot of groups tried to do it,
Yeah, you're right.
and but we were able to uh, uh, cater to both AM and FM stations. And it was right when Hubert Humphrey called. He was running for president. His office called at that very moment. It was in '68 when we were just starting to fool around with new sounds.
Right.
And we went out on the road from August and met him on the road till the election in November. And of course, he lost, or
Right.
things would have been much different. But at any rate, Hubert Humphrey ended up doing the liner notes to the Crimson and Clover album.
Oh, really?
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, I own the album and I didn't ever realize that.
So the back of the album is the original album was
Right.
Hubert Humphrey's, and which was the first time that any rock group teamed up with a politician. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's every day now, but back then nobody had done. So that's the importance of Crimson and Clover. Crimson and Clover gave us the second half of our career
Oh, yeah.
because it allowed us then to Crystal Blue Persuasion and Sweet Cherry Wine and Ball of Fire and Dragon of Line and all that. All the records that came after Crimson and Clover. Um, our career could have ended with Mony Mooney very easily because a lot of artists, singles artists' careers ended right in '68.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
Right.
and as a result of the Sgt. Pepper album in '67,
Yep.
because everything went from singles to albums.
Yep. No, absolutely. So you were talking about dragging the line. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you invented the phrase dragging the line to mean like doing hard work but enjoying your life as
Working
well.
day to day to day, yeah, yeah.
So how did
And
that come to you? What spurred that?
well, we were up at my farm in upstate New York. Morse bought me a farm. He wouldn't pay mechanical royalties, but he'd buy me cars and farms and stuff like that. So at any rate, Bob King, my writing partner and
Right.
production partner, then were together writing, and I don't think I could have written that song in the city. It
Okay.
was just one of those laid back songs that just had the right groove to it,
Yeah,
and
really did.
it just worked. And when we got in the studio with it, it was one of those songs also that we had done the track before we wrote the song.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had never done that before,
Yeah.
and well, I actually did with Mony Mooney, but with Dragon Line, we did the track and created that sort of hypnotic do 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 dum 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 dum, and the eighth notes on the guitar with the
Yep.
and it just worked. The groove worked, but the song had to match the groove.
Yeah.
So lyrically, and it had to match the syncopation of the rhythm track.
Right.
So and we did it.
Great.
So it was just one of those. But it was a B-side.
Oh, it was?
It was Dragon Line was the flip side of Church Street Soul Revival that we put out as a single.
Oh, I
And
didn't
the
know that.
only time it had ever happened where the B side got more popular than the A side, and radio just started playing Dragon the Line instead of Church Street. And so we went in and I did a remix of it and I added horns.
Right. I remember the horns on it. Yeah.
And it didn't have horns originally.
I didn't know that.
And we added the horns and put it out, re-released it, and it instantly caught on.
Right.
LA broke the record, and LA never broke records, basically. They were one of the last
Yeah.
stations to ever go on a record. KHJ out in LA broke
Oh,
it.
yeah. I remember them. So how about Mony Mooney? I know there's got to be some stories, especially about how you came up with the name. That was obviously another one of your huge hits.
Well, basically, uh, we wanted to create a throwback record. A record that an old-fashioned rock and roll record like a Louie Louie or
Yeah.
Boney Maroney or God knows what, and sort of like Gary U.S. Bonds, one of those kind of live
Like
sounds.
2:45, one of those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Sure.
So we went in the studio and we started out with Brooks Arthur. Are you familiar with Brooks
I
Arthur, the
am
famous
definitely.
engineer that
Yeah.
was up at Century Sound? And Allegro, my usual studio, was being closed down for updating.
Okay.
And basically, we went into Century Sound and Brooks Arthur started it. And went in and just started playing a three-chord rock and roll riff. Just, three chords, and we got it together and started sounding kind of cool. And but we had no song to go with it. We just did the track. So we decided we'd write the song, and we did. And we wrote one of these kind of nonsensical songs about a girl and about she's dancing and, just kind of a silly song. But we had no title.
Okay.
And we're up at my house, up at my apartment in New York, Richie Cordell and I, and everything we're coming up with sounds so stupid. We're looking for like a two-syllable girl's name,
Right.
like Sloopy or
Right.
Boney Maroney or whatever. And so we throw our guitars down, walk out on my terrace, and light up a cigarette. And what are we going to do? We got to come up with something. And all of a sudden, we're looking up into the sky, the nighttime sky, and all of a sudden, all four of our eyes, fall on the Mutual of New York
Uh,
sign.
okay.
Mutual of New York. He gave you the time and the temperature. And Mony. And we just start laughing because that's it. It's like God gave us the title. It was perfect. I've often said if we had been looking in the other direction, we might have called the song Hotel Taft or Equitable. I know we were hard up for a title, but truly that became the title of the song, and it worked perfect. So we really lucked out on that one. Sounds like a story made up by a press agent. You know
It
what I
does,
mean?
but it's true. So, um, you've had a number of covers done of your songs. The ones that come to mind initially are Joan Jett doing Crimson and Clover, and Tiffany, I think, were alone now, but you said you didn't write that, but Billy Idol, Mony Mooney. What's your favorite cover of one of
Well,
your songs?
we've had almost just over 350 major covers of
Wow.
our songs, and uh, the one that I like the most, I'm most proud of, I should say, is Prince doing Crimson and Clover, and he
Wow.
released it as his first single from his. He had a digital album called Lotus Flower
Okay.
about 10 years ago, and he did a cover of Crimson and Clover. Dolly Parton doing Crimson and Clover. So that one song, can you imagine two less alike artists than
Right.
Prince and Dolly Parton?
Yeah.
And she did it great. She did it country, and it sounds great. We did a duet together, Dolly and
Oh,
I.
cool.
And REM did a great job on Dragging a Line. Was in the movie, the Austin Powers movie, The
Oh, yeah.
Spy Who Shagged Me, and oh God. Green Day, the lead singer of Green Day, Billy Joe Armstrong, during the COVID epidemic, uh, pandemic,
Yes.
did I Think We're Alone Now in his bedroom
Really?
and released it. Warner released it on Warner's and went top 10. And so we've been very lucky, and we've had many covers in movies and
Yeah.
many of our songs in a whole lot of movies. So I'm very thankful and very honored when another artist does one of my songs because it's just so interesting hearing another artist, especially a well-known artist, their slant on
Oh, yeah.
your music. You know what I mean?
Oh, I do.
And
Yeah. It's
I'm
very
very honored.
cool. So, didn't you, I think I read this somewhere, that you made some early music videos even before there was MTV? How did that
Yes.
happen and what happened to them?
Well, to me, it always made a lot of sense to film your hit record,
Okay.
a
Yeah.
performance. I mean, that just
Right.
made a, I never understood why nobody did it. Because it was such an obvious thing to do for TV. And I don't mean a live performance on a TV show. I mean a regular performance of your song, you know, doing crazy things and
Right.
all that stuff. So we started with Mony Mooney,
Oh, okay.
and we were to appear on the British TV show. Oh, what I can't think of the name of it.
Top
Uh,
of the pops.
that's it. Top. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Top of the Pops, and so Mony Mooney went number one in Britain and was one of the biggest records of the '60s over there, and so we were supposed to go over and in 1968 and do a tour. Well, we couldn't go because we were on the presidential campaign that I told you about with Hubert Humphrey. So they got very upset with us.
Uh,
And so we did a video of Mony Mooney and sent it there,
oh, okay.
which they played.
Cool.
And uh, so that was the first play of it. But you know, videos you would end up in movie theaters in between the double features and
Right.
stuff. You
Yeah.
know, for a long time it was me and Daffy Duck. The cartoon, you know, would
Yeah,
play
of course.
in the music video. But to me, it made a lot of sense. And this was 1968, 13 years before MTV.
Yeah. Wow.
So, you know, and then MTV started playing it. So
Cool.
had a long life.
Yeah, that's great. Next question.
Yeah,
Alive and Kickin', you wrote and produced Tighter and Tighter. Why
right.
didn't you record it yourself as
I
opposed to
did.
them? Oh, you
I
did?
did. And I didn't like the way it was coming out.
Oh, really?
I wrote it for me.
Okay.
And I went in the studio and I did a track. Jimmy Wisner put the horns and we did a great little track. Buddy Salzman played drums on it and you know Buddy
Yeah.
and it was I loved the track, but I went to sing it and I didn't like the way I sounded on the record. I
Oh,
just didn't like the way I was doing it.
okay.
So this group had been after me, Alive and Kicking, to their manager was a friend of my wife's,
Okay.
and they'd been after me to do something with them for a long time, and so I rewrote the thing as a duet because they had a
Right.
guy and a girl
Right.
singing, and brought them into the studio, and they were great. Their guitar player, he's 17 years old, played that incredible guitar solo on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And Bruce Sedano was their keyboard player, and played keyboards, played the organ on it. And I did it on my track.
Oh, really?
And
Okay.
then I put their voices on it, and I sang the third part.
Oh,
I
okay.
sang the third part harmony background, and they took it back to Morris. We put it out in Roulette and went number one.
Yeah, it sure did.
So I was, and it was the first group other than myself and the Shondells that I had ever produced. And then I produced a couple of records with Patty Austin, and I ended up doing, but I didn't like producing
Uh,
near as much as I liked being the artist
got
and
it.
producing my records. And it was kind of a thankless job because if the record didn't make it, it was your fault. You know?
I've produced over 50 records, so believe
Oh,
me, I get it.
yeah.
So I think we're alone now. You said you didn't write that. So
No.
how did that come to you?
Richie Cordell and Bo Gentry, who were production partners and
Right.
writing partners from Kama Sutra, I brought over to Roulette, and they played me this song called "I Think We're Alone Now," and they played it as like a sort of a ballad, a sort of a mid-tempo ballad. It wasn't a fast song, and it bothered me. We sped it up later, but it bothered me that it was so slow. But as soon as I heard the hook, I knew it was a smash. I knew it was a hit record. You couldn't hear that hook and not think
Oh,
it was
you're
a
right.
hit.
You're right.
So I fell in love with it, and we did a demo of it over at Allegro, and uh, we sped it up, and I played the eighth notes on. I played the guitar, and I said, "Let's make it faster." And I played the doom 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 doom
Right.
doom, and it became the signature sound
Oh,
of the
yeah.
record. And we sped it up to the right tempo. Bo sang lead on it. Bo sang the lead voice, and we made a demo and took it over to Morris. He flipped.
Oh, yeah.
He flipped out. And I called in Jimmy Wisner, who had just become a friend of mine, and he put this little ditty together, and with studio players and my guys,
Okay.
and we put the record together on an afternoon in December, and uh, we did the lead vocal, my lead vocal, on Christmas Eve afternoon.
Oh, really?
Yes, 1966. Morris loved it. But I learned more about making records for AM radio with I Think We're Alone Now than any other record I ever made.
Really?
I learned the rules of the road. I learned the rules of the game. I learned the formula.
Okay.
And I also learned in the studio, um, for example, the time. Why a record, why a shorter record stood more of a chance to get played than a longer record. Uh, the perfect time for an AM hit was between 2:05 and 2:25.
Okay.
That was the perfect time because you're competing with commercials.
Yeah,
You're competing with the people who are paying for your airtime.
that's right.
And the longer your record was, the less likely it was to get played right out of the
I
box.
remember that. Yes.
And that was one of the golden rules.
Yep.
So I also then learned about intros that if you save a place for the jock to talk sexy over the record and introduce your record,
Right.
the louder it was, the less he could talk. You
Right.
drowned him out. The softer it was, and the shorter it was. It had to be between 10 and 12 seconds basically for him to say, "Hey, here's Tommy James and the Shondells. You know what's big in Chicago? There's the one." And, stuff like that. It had to make room for everybody. And then less is truly more.
Oh, yeah.
When the more sounds you add to the record, the less important every instrument becomes by that fraction.
That's right.
If you have four things on the record, everything gets a quarter of the speaker. On AM radio, because of the compressors and the limiters,
Right.
um, they'll just squash. The louder it is, they'll just squash your record.
Right.
So if you know, do what you got to do in the fewest instruments possible.
Yep.
Create the magic in the fewest instruments. And I never forgot that lesson. I'll never forget. I was up at BMI one time, and I had a wonderful conversation with Doc Pomus, who is a terrific songwriter. You know Doc
Legendary,
Pomus, right?
legendary songwriter.
Legendary. And he said to me something that I never forgot. He said, Tom, listen, we're not writing records. Excuse me, we're not writing songs. We're writing records.
Mhm.
And that hit me right between the eyes. I said, my God, that is so true.
Yep.
We're not writing songs. A song is sort of the least part of it. We're writing records,
Yep.
the sounds, the grooves, the rhythm, the
The hook,
tempo, the
hooks.
hook, the hook. And when he said that to me, I never forgot that. That was all during this period of time where we were recording I Think We're Alone Now.
Right.
And I learned so much. And then Bo and Richie were great producers because all we had back then was 4-track.
Right. That's right.
And they were the kings of 4-track. And if you can make 4-track work, you can make anything
Oh,
work.
you're right. You're absolutely
So
right.
I learned so much with I Think We're Alone Now that I used for years and years.
Cool.
I'm sorry to be so long-winded with
No,
you
I'm
again, but
enjoying it. You still up for going a little longer? Are you
sure.
okay? Um, Woodstock. I heard you passed on Woodstock.
Yeah,
Is that
accidentally.
so? Tell me about that. And is it a regret of yours that you weren't
Oh
there?
yeah, of course.
Yeah, how can it
Uh,
not be?
well, we were in Hawaii at the time. This is the summer of '69.
Yep.
And I was doing 2 shows, and they were 2 weeks apart. And so we were at a magnificent Spanish villa mansion at the foot of Diamond Head. And our biggest decision of the day in between, tequila and sunrises and whiskey sours was, do I go swimming in the pool or the ocean? And so I get a call from my secretary, Joanne, at Roulette. We're in Honolulu. And she says, Tommy, listen, Artie Kornfeld was up. Artie was a friend of mine. He also was one of the principal sponsors of Woodstock,
Right.
promoters.
Yep.
And she says, Artie was up and asked if you would please come and do a pig farm in upstate New York. I said, what? She says, yeah, a pig. Well, there's going to be a lot of people. They say it's going to be a big gig. It's going to be outdoors. And I said, wait a minute. You just said, come play a pig farm in upstate New York. Is that what you really wanted to say to me? I'm in paradise here. You want me to fly 6,000 miles and play a pig farm? I'll tell you what, if I'm not there, tell Artie, thanks, but if I'm not there, start without me. And they did, and it was called Woodstock. And by Friday, we knew we screwed up really bad because they shut down
Oh
the
yeah.
throughway going up to New York. And we knew we had screwed up. We found out who all was on the show. And so, yeah, but I damn sure didn't miss the next one. The Atlanta Pop Festival was
Okay.
about 6 weeks afterwards. And I definitely made that one.
Well, for
Didn't
whatever
have quite as many people as Woodstock, but
no,
almost.
but it was still good. For whatever it's worth, back in those days, I was in a band and we were opening for Three Dog Night. And
Ah,
I was going to go to Woodstock, not to play, but to be in the crowd.
sure,
But we
sure.
were playing up in Buffalo with Three Dog Night and I couldn't get away. So I missed
Uh,
it too. But you have a better story than I have.
well, it's partly true. No, it's very true. Um, yeah, and I have regretted, of course, all these years, but I think I've probably gotten more mileage out of telling the story of not playing than if I had gone and played.
So I have a question, a little personal. I understand
Watch it now.
you were
Be
pronounced
careful.
Yeah, you were pronounced dead in 1970. Is that
Well, I
true?
wasn't pronounced dead. I passed out. I passed out after a show in Alabama,
Oh, oh,
and I had been up for about 3 days and writing and I just I got dizzy and I fell down and sort of passed out,
oh,
and somebody there said, "Hey, he looked dead."
oh,
And put it in the newspaper, and everybody picked up on it. And I get back to Roulette, and Morris said, "What the hell's going on?" And I had to explain myself, but no, I didn't die.
good. I don't think you did. So your memoir is called what?
Me, the mob, and the music,
And it
and
goes into a lot more of what we're talking about, right?
yes, and I was able to go into detail, and but when people have been after me to write the book about all this for a long time, and to be honest, uh, when we sat down to write the book, Martin Fitzpatrick, my co-author, and myself at this table. Uh, when we started writing the book, we were going to call it Crimson and Clover,
Sure.
and we were going to write about having hits and writing songs and stuff. But we looked at each other. We got about a third of the way into the book and said, if we don't tell the roulette story, we're cheating ourselves and everybody else. But I was I was very nervous about doing that because some of these guys were still walking around.
Oh yeah.
And there was a lot of shenanigans going on. I mean, when I tell you that I recognized gangsters from TV that were coming up and hanging with Morris, and they'd come up and visit, treat it like a social club.
Wow.
And Morris was really running some nasty stuff out of there. Um, so anyway, uh, I basically was a little nerd. We put it on a shelf for a couple of years. And finally, in '05, the last of the roulette regulars, Vinny the Chin Gigante, uh, died. And I felt that we could finish the thing and really tell the story.
Right.
And uh, so we did. And so we made, and I don't think you can write a better book about anything better than rock and roll and the mob. I think they work really great together. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And Morris and Roulette was the epicenter of all this
Oh yeah.
stuff. And so uh, all I can say is that it's worked beautifully. It's going to be a movie.
Oh, cool.
Yes, and it's going to be after that. It looks like a Broadway show.
That's fabulous.
So we're very, very. We were originally going to do a film for theaters.
Okay.
About a 2 hour 2 hour movie that would appear in theaters, but that's not how movies are made anymore.
No, no.
And the most people see movies that are on Netflix and HBO and are episodes,
Right.
7 or 8 part
Right.
pictures. And so that's what we're going to do.
Oh, cool.
And you can develop the characters better. You can tell the story better, and more people see it.
Oh, no.
So that's the direction we're going to go, and we're talking about probably another 18 months to 2 years. And honestly, I'm very happy that we're doing it this way. And I'm going to kind of co-produce, and I'm going to do the music, and we're going to have a lot of shots of this recreations of hit songs in as they're being made in the studios and what actually happened. Mony Mooney, for example, we brought in people off the street.
Oh, really?
We had our studio Allegro was at 1650 Broadway, where
Sure.
all the publishers and the managers and
Oh yeah.
managers and the record companies are. So we brought in people not only from the building, but people off the street to come in and yell and scream on Mony Mooney and stuff like that. So honestly, we're going to recreate some of those fun moments, and in addition to telling the story about, and then the Broadway play is going to be interesting, watching the mob guys do a little dance.
Yeah,
It's
I
going to be fun. And so anyway, it should be a lot of fun. And I'm very, very honored to be doing it.
that's great. Well,
And
Tommy,
then my show on Sirius XM.
I was going to mention that just now.
Yes.
So
Well, thank you.
talk about that.
All right. Well, they came to me. It's our ninth season.
Okay.
And they came to me and asked me to do this. And I was a little scared, to be honest, because as much time as I've divested to radio and been on radio, I had never worked that side of the microphone before.
Okay.
And I've never been a DJ, I wasn't sure I knew how to do it. So they said, look, Tom, play anything you like. I said, can I go to jail for that? I said, no, we're satellite. Don't worry about it.
Right.
So at any rate, they play anything you like. And so the philosophy of the show is, in addition playing hits, they want me to play a lot of my own stuff.
Right.
But they also, in addition to playing hits and telling stories about them, but because these are mostly people I know,
Right.
it's on '60s gold, and so it's basically centered around '60s music.
Right.
I dribble into the '70s and the '50s a little bit, but it's basically '60s music, and in addition to playing the hits, I also play songs that should have been hits.
Okay.
And
Hey,
there
well,
was
that's
so
nice.
much music released in the '60s. There was every week there was over 3,000 records released, finished records by known and unknown groups in the continental United States during the '60s,
Wow.
and 5 records made the national charts. 5 out of 3,000. And so the competition was
Oh
unbelievable.
yeah.
And so much good music that never got on the radio.
You're
And so
right.
I'm allowed to play stuff like that. And I have a record geek on the show with me, Dave the Rave, who is a record collector and has his own radio show playing rarities. And he comes on and we do rarities together. Carol Ross, my manager and new wife, is
Oh, congratulations.
also on the show with me. And so and I also mic up the engineer, Glenn Taylor. And so there's 4 of us actually on mic, and they're the crew. And we're on every Sunday from 5 to 8 p.m. on Channel 73,
Yep.
'60s Gold. And we're on for 3 hours a week.
That's very
5 to
cool.
8 p.m. Eastern time. So by the third show, I was having a ball.
I bet.
And we've
So
been on 9 years now.
now, do you record it live each week, or do you pre-record it and then they just
I
air it?
pre-record. We pre-record it on Wednesday to be played on Sunday
Got it.
because
That's
I'm touring on the weekends,
yeah, yeah. How do you intend to keep touring till the day you can't anymore?
till they yank me off with a hook.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
and I've been very blessed with good health and a decent voice all these
Yeah,
years. I never
good
abused it.
boy.
And so I'm very, very happy to be doing this as long as I have. It really is. This is, as I said, my 60th year.
Wow, yeah. Well, Tommy, thank you for doing this. I know everybody's going to just love it. You've been fascinating and charming and humorous and
I
informative.
am a charming SOB, and I just,
Yeah, you really are.
but I'm all out of charm now. You know what I mean? I'm drained. You drained me. I'm going to be nasty the rest of the day.
I hope not, but thank you.
Well, listen, thank you. It's been wonderful talking to you. You certainly asked all the right questions and let me ramble on. Thank you.
You're welcome.